with those former members. Thanks.
My question is in President Trump foreign policy towards Middle East and Iran. What is your stand on current negotiation between President Trump and Iran on nuclear program?
Well, with respect, we don't have a great deal of visibility into what President Trump is trying to accomplish in terms of the current negotiations with Iran. Iran should never be allowed to become nuclear capable. And to the extent that there's an agreement that is reached that is designed to build upon the JCPOA, it should be longer and stronger than what had previously existed, and should be done, in a manner that is verifiable and resilient.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. If the aim is to kill Trump's bill, then how can Democrats right now strategically, tactically take advantage of this very public break between Donald Trump and Elon Musk?
We have to keep the pressure on House Republicans and Senate Republicans to do the right thing and vote in the best interests of the people that they represent, which means voting against Trump's one big ugly bill. To the extent that Elon Musk has made the same point that everyone who has voted for this bill up until this moment should be ashamed of themselves, we agree. And to the extent that Elon Musk has made the point that the bill is a disgusting abomination, we agree. And to the extent that Elon Musk has made the observation about the GOP tax scam, that it is reckless and irresponsible to explode the deficit by more than $3 trillion, and that potentially could set our country on a path toward bankruptcy, we agree. These are arguments that Democrats have been making now for months. And it's the reason why every single House Democrat strongly opposed the GOP tax scam, and why every single Senate Democrat is opposed to this one big ugly bill. Therefore, at this moment, we just need a handful of Senate Republicans to do the right thing in opposing the GOP tax scam and the reckless budget that limped barely out of the House of Representatives. We only need 4. And in fact, because it is likely that the junior senator from Kentucky will remain a hard no, we only need 3 additional Senate Republicans, and we can kill the bill. That's our focus right now. It's all hands on deck in that effort. And to the extent that the developments of this week will make it more likely that we can kill the GOP tax scam, that's a welcome development.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. There's obviously a limited number of ways that the House minority can prevent legislation from coming to the floor. What strategies are you suggesting to your Senate colleagues on ways to delay, prevent legislation from coming to the floor, whether it's this or rescissions?
Well, the next step in terms of the process related to Donald Trump's one big ugly bill will be to make the most powerful arguments possible to the Senate parliamentarian to strip out the extreme provisions that did not ever belong in a budget reconciliation bill. That's the next step in the process, and as I understand it, that can happen as early as next week. And I'm very confident in the ability of Leader Schumer and Senate Democrats to make the most forceful case possible.
Congressman Al Green is speaking on the House floor right now about impeaching President Trump. Have you had the chance to talk to him about his resolution? Should he still bring that forward?
I have not.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. There was some talk this week from Republicans on the House and the Senate about being open to potential sanctions on Russia. Is that something that Republican leadership has spoken to you and your fellow House Democrats about?
House Republicans talk a good game, but then they always fall apart at the end when Donald Trump, their puppet master, cracks down on them. These House Republicans talked a very good game about defending Medicaid. And then every single one of them collapsed at the end and caved to Donald Trump and voted for a bill that would represent the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, that will close down rural hospitals in their districts and do a whole bunch of damage to people all across the country. And in fact, at the end of the day, Trump's one big ugly bill didn't get more moderate in the last 24 hours before it was brought to the floor of the House for a vote. It got more extreme, including as it relates to throwing more people off their health care. And what did these so-called moderate Republicans do? They all fell in line and voted for it. Give me a break. So there's no reason for us to believe in the House of Representatives that these so-called moderate Republicans will do anything at the end of the day other than bend the knee to their puppet master, Donald Trump. Because all they've been is a reckless rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda. Thanks. Back.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. So Musk and his company's involvement with the government kind of precedes this administration, will likely continue on after this administration. But yesterday we saw how some of that personal tension seemed to put in jeopardy at least some of that partnership, with Musk floating the idea of suspending the Dragon, for instance, the rocket, and contracts there. Seems to be waffling on that. What would be your expectation for how the government interacts with a captive industry like Musk? Not just this administration, but going forward.
I have no specific observation as it relates to Elon Musk's situation right now relative to the threats that are being made by his former ally, Donald Trump, who he helped put into the White House and who might not be the president of the United States, as Elon Musk pointed out, without the hundreds of millions of dollars spent to elect Donald Trump in battleground states across America. That will all have to play itself out, though it's fair to say Donald Trump would likely not be the president of the United States of America right now without Elon Musk. With respect to how we deal with anyone's business dealings with any administration, including this one, we've got to make sure that the federal government is effective, is efficient, and is equitable. And that's not what we're seeing from the Trump administration right now. Last two questions.
Regular approach, Tom Cole saying he's marking up to the president's budget. That's a very large cut to non-defense discretionary. Where's this all leading at the end of the day?
We're very confident in Rosa DeLauro's leadership. It's my expectation that if House Republican appropriators mark to an extreme budget, that Democrats will be strongly opposed to it here in the House, and that we're going to work closely with Senate Democrats to bring about a situation where we can arrive at an enlightened appropriations product that actually meets the needs of the American people in terms of their health, their safety, their national security, and their economic well-being. Last question.
Once again, on the Trump-Musk spat, do you see any possibility of
That's a kind way to describe it, a spat.
divorce, if you like? Do you see any possibility of this having any bearing on the midterms in races that are particularly close, and might you even introduce it into races?
I can tell you for certain that the extreme and reckless Republican budget, the GOP tax scam, Trump's one big ugly bill, will be a central part of the contrast that exists between House Democrats and House Republicans in the context of the midterm election. Republicans have done nothing Nothing, not a single thing, nada, to lower the high cost of living in the United States of America. They have betrayed the American people. Trump and House Republicans have repeatedly broken their promise to lower costs and to make life better for the American people. In fact, what they said that we're going to do is that costs were going to go down on day one. We're now 5 or 6 months into the administration. Costs aren't going down in the United States of America. They're going up. Things are becoming more expensive. The Trump tariffs are going to raise costs on everyday Americans by thousands of dollars a year and may very well crash the economy and drive us toward a recession. These are going to be core and critical issues in the midterm election. Thank you, everyone.